second row, but you see Berger is up there as well. So let's join the start now with Murray Walker.
All ready for the off of the Portuguese Grand Prix, with on the left of your picture in the front row for the 39th time in his incredible career, pole position Ayrton Senna. To his right, Gerhard Berger. Behind Senna is Mansell, and behind Berger is Prost. It is very hot here in Portugal, some 30 degrees, and tyres are going to be a critical factor in this race. There's a lot of secrecy about who is using which tyre. We are expecting some stops, and as ever, the first corner is going to be the most important one. Last year, the start was aborted twice. It's go, and Berger is ahead at the first corner. The first falling right-hand corner. Gerhard Berger leads, chops off Ayrton Senna, who has got Nigel Mansell right behind him. Mansell going for the inside. Prost is in fourth place. Martini, who qualified well, is still in fifth position. They have all got round that first vital turn together, and now they come uphill. Berger leads, Senna second, Mansell third, Prost fourth, Martini fifth, Patrese is sixth, then it's Alex Cathy in seventh place, and Thierry Boutsen is eighth, and Berger is barely streaking away.
Yes, Berger doing his, what we've now come to expect, his trademark, a storming opening, made a very good start, using that semi-automatic gearbox to good effect, as he's shown in several races this year. Always been quick off the line, and he out-muscled Ayrton Senna into the first corner. Senna had the inside line, but could only get alongside. Berger wasn't having any of it. And look at him flying around the opening lap. Now, no rush for Senna. He's going to settle down, size things up, because overtaking is pretty difficult here in Portugal and requires a bit of tactics. So Senna won't be chasing Berger hard at the moment. I'm sure he'll be playing in, trying to bring his tyres in gently and get the race established.
And watch little Pierluigi Martini in fifth position. There is only one compound of Pirelli tyre. Most of the runners are on Goodyears, which have been so successful over the year, but now they're having a challenge. Berger is really taking his opportunity with a clear track. Of course, he did extremely well at Monza by finishing in second place to score his first ever points of 1989. And Ayrton Senna would be just as worried about a Ferrari winning, well, almost as worried as he would be if his teammate and rival Alain Prost won. You can see the gap for yourselves now. This course has got a lot of corners of different varieties. It's got a 180-mile-an-hour straight. And as now, Gerhard Berger in the 7-speed V12 Ferrari, and the horsepower is only about 10 or 15 less than the Honda now, so there's not much in it. And the chassis, designed by John Barnard, handles so well that Berger looks as though he's pulling away.
Yes, he certainly is, and this does not correspond with either qualifying form or, with more importantly, with form in the warm-up this morning. Berger was not as quick as Senna or Mansell this morning. Now, we'll get the gap as he goes across the line, but last time it was over 2 seconds, and Mansell having a look at the back of Senna, and the Ferraris are pretty quick on the straight today. They are matching the McLarens on straight line speed. Mansell didn't really get to have a look then, he just couldn't tow up alongside. But it looks as if we've got a bit of a race on our hands.
Indeed we have, with the two Ferraris sandwiching Ayrton Senna's McLaren-Honda. Alain Prost, the World Championship leader, in fourth position. Berger's first lap was 1 minute 26.8 to lead Senna by 2.1 seconds. And Mansell, as you can see, is swarming all over the gearbox of Senna's McLaren. Ayrton Senna in the yellow helmet, the red and white car, the V10 Honda engine, and the race order is Berger leads, Senna, Mansell second and third, Prost is fourth, Martini is in fifth place, Patrese is sixth, Cathy is seventh, Boutsen eighth, Brundle is ninth, Modena 10th, and it's Sala, Johansson, Nannini. And here come the second and third through turn 10, climbing still into the long turn 11. They come out of this at about 150 miles an hour, up into 6th gear for the McLaren, 7th gear eventually for the Ferraris. This is where Mansell had to go at Senna last time. He's almost close enough at the present moment, I saw it, and now this is we're riding with Nigel Mansell, and that is Ayrton Senna ahead. I hope they show us a lot more of the drivers' cameras, because they are on both the Ferraris. The leader, Gerhard Berger, who is now 4.1 seconds on lap 3, ahead of this battle for second between Senna and Mansell.
Yes, and Berger is pulling away quite steadily from Senna, but Berger is going very much the sort of speed he went in the warm-up this morning, whereas Senna is not going as quickly as he did. So whether Senna has gone the wrong way on chassis setup, or maybe his engine's not performing fully, well, certainly his engine looked and sounded all right on the straight, because Mansell came onto the straight, and now you see the oil and muck from the back of Senna's car on the camera lens, hence the slightly hazy picture. That can be operated externally in order to clean that lens. We'll probably see that in a moment. It's done pretty frequently. And a tremendous view from Mansell's car. Looking at the back of Senna, we now look down on Ayrton Senna, and certainly as they got onto the start-finish straight last time, Mansell was perfectly placed. Now, here they are again. Mansell not quite as close this time, but you'll see that he's not really gaining ground from the slipstream, so Honda still have plenty of power.
Yeah, can I just make a point there that James pointed out about the muck on the camera lens? The Honda engine has, in the last few races, been throwing out quite a lot of oil, and that muck and oil which is on the camera lens of Mansell's Ferrari will also be on Nigel Mansell's visor, which won't help him at all. You can see how close he is to Senna now. The gap between Berger leading and Senna is 5.5 seconds, and that is a great deal at this stage of the race. Prost is still fourth. Martini hanging on in the Minardi in fifth position. Then it's Patrese and Boutsen in the two Williams. That's the new FW13 Williams.
And Mansell is now really looking for a way to get around Senna. It's not going to be an easy task, that we know, particularly in view of the fact that although Ferrari have improved their V12 engine, it's still the Honda is still the class of the field in terms of power. Of course, now here we see from Mansell's cockpit, you see the feedback, the jarring through the steering wheel that you get from these big tires. You get an impression of some of the physical effort required to hold that wheel where you want it as they go through the corners. So, Senna, Berger now 6.5 seconds ahead of Ayrton Senna and continuing to pull away. Meanwhile, Mansell continuing to look for a way around Senna, and Prost, who's looked pretty dejected on the racetrack all weekend and certainly looked no different the first few laps, is beginning to catch Senna again. Just by at a glance, I would have said Prost is not falling back any further.
So there's the battle. And you can see Alain Prost in the background. He's just about 1.8 seconds behind Nigel Mansell that we're looking at in third position. Mansell third, Prost fourth. And Ayrton Senna can count all the points he gets in this race in the World Championship. He's only scored 6 times. The best 11 scores count. Alain Prost has already scored 11 times, 20 points ahead. They're now up towards turn 8. Turn 10 now, into turn 11 again. These corners do not have names, sadly, at Portugal. It takes a lot of the charisma out of it. And there is the gap, Senna to Berger, 6.5 seconds.
And good news for the Onyx team, who have had quite a struggle this season. They've got a very good little car, but Stefan Johansson, and they were very unlucky on Friday in pre-qualifying when JJ Leto in his Grand Prix debut showed tremendous form in the car, but they had a mechanical problem just over 10 minutes to go in the session, never got onto qualifying tyres and missed it by 1 place, and that was steer bad luck because he'd been the star of the show. And still Mansell pressing away at Senna. And Stefan Johansson, though, representing the team, the Onyx team, is now up into 9th place.
Yes, there's the race order, and there are the gaps. Berger, Senna, Mansell, first, second, third. Prost in 4th position, holding a watching brief. Pierluigi Martini, the highest he's ever been in a Grand Prix, in 5th place, followed by the 2 Williams of Patrese and Boutsen. 6th and 7th. Alex Caffey is in 8th place. You're looking now at Senna's car ahead of Nigel Mansell. Watch Mansell's fingers, if you can, underneath the steering wheel. They operate the rocking levers on the left and right of the steering wheel underneath the rim, which control the hydraulics of the semi-automatic gearbox. It has an electronic brain which blips the engine for the driver when he's changing down, and there you can see Alain Prost is inching up on Senna and Mansell, and now surely Mansell could go for it here. He's out from behind, and he's going through. Nigel Mansell up into 2nd place, Ferrari 1st and 2nd on lap 8 of the Portuguese Grand Prix, and already Mansell is starting to pull away from Senna.
Yes, well, he was running so close behind him, it was quite clear that Mansell was going to be able to go noticeably quicker, to tuck that closely under the wing of a car in front. And here we see again Mansell pulling out, and Senna doesn't really fight it. He knows that Mansell's got the corner, gives him plenty of space, and now we see it from the cockpit. Tremendous. This is good use of the onboard camera on the straight now, coming up into the braking area, just towing up. Mansell pulls out. Still, his momentum hasn't reached the braking area yet. And so, good news for the spreading of the standards of motor racing, of getting more than just the one team formula that it's been for so long. Ferrari's 1 and 2, McLaren's chasing for a change, but the person for whom this is probably the best news of all is Alain Prost, because of his World Championship situation. I'll come back to you when Murray's uttered.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, look at Alain Prost, because he is getting very much closer to Ayrton Senna. And now this is history for 1989, Ferrari's 1st and 2nd. And look at Pierluigi Martini behind Alain Prost, holding on magnificently, but only just ahead of Patrese in 6th position and Thierry Boutsen in 7th place. And at the present moment, it's Berger fastest on the circuit, 1 minute 21.6 so far.
Yes, going back to what I was saying, it being good news for Prost, was that, of course, if Senna now needs to win races to be able to wrest the championship from Prost, this 20-point lead that Prost has would shrink with dropped races from Prost, remembering, of course, only your best 11 count, but Senna has to do it with wins.
And Alain Prost, with that 20-point lead, is seeing Ayrton Senna get closer and closer, but watch behind the little Frenchman when the producer gives us the opportunity, because Pierluigi Martini in the Minardi is driving a superlatively good race. He is only about 2 seconds behind Alain Prost now in 5th position, ahead of both the FW13 Williams with their Renault 10 engines. There is Berger completing his 9th lap.
Yes, and remember that the Minardi cars have a substantial power disadvantage over the leading 4 cars, the 2 McLarens, 2 Ferraris, and also, for that matter, over the Williams Renaults, who, of course, Martini is currently heading, and albeit with them in instant line astern. And there's Mansell, new fastest lap of the race, having got past Senna. Mansell is trying to get away from him and is 1.5 seconds up. The Minardi, suddenly the car has really worked well, because not only did Pierluigi Martini qualify very well here, but his teammate, Sala, qualified well up on the grid as well. So they've got the Minardi chassis working exceptionally well, considering that it is, of course, on a customer engine and not with substantially less power than the cars we're looking at now.
The car we're looking at now has got the best chassis of them all. It is now acknowledged. John Barnard, the man who put McLaren at the top originally, designed this chassis with his colleagues at Maranello in Ferrari. At least it was designed at Guildford, to be absolutely clear. And you can see now, there's the gap between Berger, the leader, and Mansell in second place, with Prost in fourth place, getting closer to Berger in third, and not very much ahead of this three-car battle between Martini, Patrese and Boutsen.
And more importantly, another new fastest lap for Nigel Mansell, and he looks like a man who means serious business over his teammate Gerhard Berger. I get the impression that Mansell has set off after Berger with a vengeance. So he's now lapping, well, his last lap was some 1 second quicker than Gerhard Berger.
But not yet a new lap record, which Berger put up last year in the F187 turbocharged V6 Ferrari. 1 minute 19.28 is their target for a lap record here. And let's talk very quickly about tyres as you watch Nigel Mansell challenging Berger and pulling away from Ayrton Senna. Mansell in second place is running on C compound Goodyear tyres. Now those are softish, the B compound is harder, and it could mean, doesn't necessarily, but it could mean that they will be coming in for a pit stop sometime after lap 20.
And Stefan Johansson in the Onyx has moved up another place to 8th, and this certainly confirms the very good form the car has showed here this weekend. Apart from a slow day on Friday in the first qualifying session, he was pretty quick yesterday, and he was very quick in the warm-up this morning. And the Onyx team, of course, desperately need World Championship points to get into the top 20 cars who get their trouble free and get into the race without pre-qualifying.
Senna in third position you are looking at. Prost there getting ever closer in fourth position. Now Patrese, if we see him, is starting to have a go at Martini. You are watching Ayrton Senna. Ahead of him, the two Ferraris, Berger and Mansell. There is Mansell. In the background, Alain Prost. The two Ferraris are separated by about 2 seconds. Gerhard Berger is consistently the fastest. His gap now between himself and Mansell is 7.7 seconds, and the race order on lap 12 out of 71 in the Portuguese Grand Prix. Gerhard Berger, Ferrari, leads. Mansell, Ferrari, second. Senna and Prost, McLaren-Hondas, third and fourth. Fifth is Martini in the Minardi. That's the highest they've been in a Grand Prix this year, or ever. Sixth is Patrese, Williams. Seventh, Boutsen, Williams. Eighth, Johansson, as James has told us, in the Onyx. Then, in ninth position, as Berger crosses the line, it is Alex Caffey, the little Italian, in the Dallara. And you can see that the Ferrari, which has got about 650 horsepower, is handling beautifully here.
Yes, it certainly is. Mansell's car, when we were looking from on board, looked very comfortable to drive to me. And that's Roberto Moreno, stopped out on the circuit. Now, he had a bit of a frightening shunt in practice yesterday when he tangled with another car, I believe it was Derek Warwick, and flew over the top of it. But they got him running again, but trouble has stopped him. And the other thing with the Ferraris, as I say, the car is looking very forgiving to drive, and that is certainly what the drivers say about it. You can get it out of shape, and it's got no vices. And Mansell is charging. He pulled another half second, by the way, on Berger on the last lap.
Nigel Mansell in second place. Martin Brundle is the next British driver. He is in 10th position. Jonathan Palmer in the Tyrrell is in 15th place. Derek Warwick, who started well down, is in 20th position. Johnny Herbert, of course, sadly, because he was very sick yesterday, failed to qualify. Gerhard Berger completes lap 13. Now let's see what the gap is as Nigel Mansell approaches the finishing line and crosses it now. And it's 6.7 seconds. Mansell is lapping 0.6 of a second faster than Berger. There is Prost. There is Martini. Here he is with the two Williams behind him. Martini 5th, Patrese 6th, Boutsen 7th. And you're looking in a race now at the FW13 Williams-Renault. It's the first time it's raced. Qualified well under the circumstances. They've got some glitches in the front suspension they've got to iron out. And Thierry Boutsen looks as though he is not at all happy with 7th place. Wants to take 6th from Riccardo Patrese. Well, I say again, with a very high tarmac temperature and a very high cockpit temperature, the drivers are going to be suffering, and so are the tyres. It's lap 14 now. I say again, we can expect a tyre change any time from about lap 20 onwards, if there is going to be one. But, for instance, the March people were hoping, and Maurizio Gugelmin is in 12th position, hoping and indeed expecting to go through non-stop on the C compound Goodyears. There's Martini. That's the man that everybody used to laugh at when he first came into Formula One from Formula 3000 some years ago. He was way over his head. He had the sense, having failed to do well, to go back to Formula 3000, where he did extremely well, finished second in the championship one year, came back to Minardi and scored their first ever point. And now he's being very much sought after by other teams. He has done so well this year and has actually re-signed for Minardi in 1990. There's Patrese. He's got an excellent record behind him in 1989. 3 second places, a third and 2 fourths already. And now Gerhard Berger on lap 15. What a strange thing it is to say this. Gerhard Berger leading because he's had such a terrible season this year, and he's leading by 6.5 seconds, lapping slower than Nigel Mansell, his teammate, who is once again in second place in the Ferrari, because Mansell has had an incomparably better season than Berger. Senna is now 4 seconds behind Mansell, 2.2 seconds ahead of Prost in 4th place. And you're looking at the battle between Martini 5th, Patrese 6th, Thierry Boutsen just out of the points in 7th place. Climbing this Portuguese circuit at Estoril is a beautiful circuit, wonderful countryside around it, and it has gradients. There's Prost, and here's the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th.
There's a stationary yellow flag just in the corner of the shot there, just that's to notify a parked car beside the track. It's the danger sign. And Mansell is still just chipping away at Berger's lead, but it really is very little chips. It's 6.5 seconds he is behind Berger, and at the same time that's allowing him to edge away from Ayrton Senna, just over 4 seconds now, and Prost in turn is shadowing Senna, but I'm quite sure as far as the World Championship is concerned, Prost will be quite happy just to shadow Senna now.
Yeah, incidentally, as we look at Martini, chased by the two Williams, I maligned him and his teammate Sala earlier on. I'd forgotten that Pierluigi Martini, that we're looking at, actually finished an excellent 5th in the British Grand Prix, and Luis Sala, the Spaniard, who'll be racing in his own home Grand Prix next weekend at Jerez, finished 6th at Britain to score his first ever World Championship point. Well, the race is settling down. I don't know how the tyres are doing, only the drivers know that. But I can tell you that the Ferraris are now very well settled in 1st and 2nd places, that Nigel Mansell is consistently quicker than Berger. He's got the gap down now to under 6 seconds, and he's lapped at 1 minute 20.49 compared with a lap record of 1:19.2. So it's a V12 Ferrari leading, a V12 Ferrari second, then the V10 Hondas of Senna and Prost.
Yes, if conditions stay good and the race stays competitive up front, I would expect that record to go before the end of the race today. As the fuel loads come down and they put on fresh tyres, that's assuming, of course, that the leaders have the need to do that. If they do that in the second half of the race, I would expect the lap record to take a bit of a beating.
Yeah, we look at Martini. There he is, number 23 in the very distinctively coloured Minardi, and the man from Ravenna. This is his 37th Grand Prix. The highest he's ever finished is in 5th position. It's a wonderful fillip for Pirelli, because they were saying to me earlier on that they didn't expect their race tyre, as opposed to the qualifying tyre, which was extremely good yesterday, to be too good here today in the race. Well, we'll see. They may start to wear. It's only fair to point out that their competitors, Goodyear, have got tyres on all the leading cars. There is one of them. It's Alain Prost in 4th position. And this race thus far is an absolute disaster for Ayrton Senna. He needs very badly to win it, He's had an incredible record this year with 6 scores, and 5 of them have been first, and 1 of them have been a second place. But only to be in 3rd place with Prost behind him in 4th position is no use to Senna at all. It's not much use to Prost either, for that matter. He has to discard points from now on, and if he finishes 4th, he will only have 1 finish lower than 4th, and that is the 5th place that he had in Mexico. So he would gain 1 point only. So on lap 18 of a comparatively static Portuguese Grand Prix at the moment, but with a very heartening and different sight at the front, Gerhard Berger leads Nigel Mansell. Ferraris both by 5.5 seconds. Mansell still lapping faster. Then it's the 2 McLaren-Hondas of Senna and Prost, 3rd and 4th. Martini is still 5th, and now that, I'm just checking which Ferrari that is. That's Gerhard Berger's Ferrari.
Yes, that's Berger up on the first of the back markers. So Berger starting to lap the tail enders now.
Yeah, now let's see, let's spot who that's likely to be. Well, I can't tell you. But the good news for British team aficionados, and that's bad news for Andrea De Cesaris. Andrea De Cesaris out in the Dallara, and that was lap 19 that he retired on. So Moreno is out, De Cesaris is out. We're riding with Gerhard Berger now in the Ferrari. Let's spot where he is on the course.
Yes, and that was one of the Ligiers that he passed, but there's a huge gaggle of traffic in front of Berger, just ahead of him, and not that far ahead. We can see the back of them now, but we will see a gaggle. I didn't actually count them just then as I was looking out of the window from where we don't have a particularly good view, but it looked like at least half a dozen cars all battling away, and this isn't going to be easy for Gerhard to get through them. But remember, he's a charger in the Senna mode, and there is the gaggle. And it was about 6 cars, too.
And the first one he has to take with Mansell passing Arnoux and closing up definitely on Berger. The first one that Berger has to pass is Eddie Cheever in the Arrows, who is below 20th position, I can tell you that.
Yes, and that gained Mansell a lot. Well, rather, Berger lost a lot of time on that lap behind Arnoux. And Mansell was lucky because he caught Arnoux on the straight and didn't lose any time over it. So the gap now is, well, it's visual. It's 2.5 seconds.
Eddie Cheever gesticulating furiously at one of the Lola cars. It's either Alboreto or Alio. Now we're going to see Gerhard Berger and how he copes with this traffic, and Mansell will close right up on him. I'm absolutely sure of that. That's Cheever, and Berger absolutely blasts past the Arrows. Now where is Mansell? Look for Nigel Mansell in the background. Coming up to the Lola now. And in front of the Lola is Emanuele Pirro. It's Alboreto in front of Berger now, and it's Pirro in front of Alboreto, both about to be lapped by the Ferrari, which is on lap 20.
Yes, very frustrating for Berger, this, to get that bigger group in front of him. He might be able to do one of the cars on the straight, but of course they're helping each other with the toe. And look at the power of the Lamborghini engine. Berger and the Ferrari can do nothing about that. So Mansell goes onto his tail. And a chance for Mansell to challenge for the lead now with the help of the traffic.
On lap 20 out of 71, Berger has got to get past Alboreto and Pirro smartly here. He's passed Emanuele Pirro. So is Nigel Mansell behind him, and now Mansell and Berger in their Ferraris on lap 20 in the 71 lap race are absolutely together. You can see for yourselves, if Berger puts a wheel wrong, Mansell can grasp his opportunity, as he did in Hungary when he passed Senna, and he had to go there. He thought he would rattle Berger as Berger passes Michele Alboreto, and now the Austrian, Gerhard Berger in the Ferrari, has got a clearer track as Eddie Cheever tackles Michele Alboreto, who is now a lap behind the 2 flying Ferraris in one of the best Grand Prix we've had in 1989, and we're with Nigel Mansell. Now he's just cleared turn 8 into turn 9, back into 3rd gear, accelerating into turn 11, which is the long 150 mile an hour right-hander, which leads into the start and finish straight. to complete their 21st lap. They're coming up to Derek Warwick now, who is in 20th position. So, Mansell second, Berger leads. You can see the sparks flying off the titanium skid plates underneath their Ferraris. The ride height is very low indeed. Derek Warwick will see the two Ferraris coming up in his mirror, and no doubt, the experienced gentleman driver that he is, he will move over.
Well, through all that mess and excitement with the back markers, the one thing that was very significant to me was the apparent prodigious power of the Lamborghini engine, which was very impressive, much to the frustration of Gerhard Berger, who was hoping to get tucked in on the toe on the straight and get past it. Didn't really even pull up to it. But that certainly served to bring us the two Ferraris together, so now we have a battle for the lead. Senna is picking his way through the traffic, with Prost picking it even more carefully behind him.
Yeah, Ayrton Senna's actually closed up. He's just 2.7 seconds behind Nigel Mansell in second place, so Senna, with his famous courage, has obviously absolutely sized through the traffic. Not the Berger and Mansell, and we're riding with Mansell now. Took their time about it. They're down the finishing straight, up to 180 miles an hour as they go past the giant grandstand on the left. Into turn one, fourth gear, 145 miles an hour. Berger leads, Mansell second. This is lap 22. The gap between Mansell in second place and Senna in third has increased to 3 seconds. Prost is still fourth, Martini fifth, Patrese sixth, Boutsen seventh, and those three are still absolutely together. But it's a riveting fight between two of the top 4 drivers in the world now. Gerhard Berger from Austria, who will be leaving Ferrari and going to McLaren in 1990, and Nigel Mansell, who is staying with the Italian team to be joined by double world champion Alain Prost, who, as you see, is in 4th position, and I should imagine comparatively content with that. If he could improve one place, it would help him a great deal, particularly as he would be improving at the expense of his teammate Senna, with Mansell again. And now watch Berger in front as he comes up to Derek Warwick, and in front of Warwick, I think, is Nakajima, or is it the other way round? We'll soon see. Yes, the other way round. Warwick has got ahead of Nakajima, and now Mansell sees his opportunity. He's up alongside Gerhard Berger, and he's going through into the lead. He's on the inside. And that's Warwick passing Modena, and Mansell passes Warwick, and now Nigel Mansell leads on lap 23 of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Gerhard Berger passes Modena. Senna is closing up on all of them. What an absolutely fabulous scrap at the front.
Amazing stuff. It was difficult to see with the head-on camera there, but I have a feeling that Nigel might have rather cleverly boxed Berger in, but just before this, and Berger then couldn't come out. Because he would have driven into Mansell, couldn't go left because of the grass, and in fact he didn't get past anybody, so until after they'd made the first corner. So very dramatic. Here we see from Mansell's point of view up the straight, and he's got Berger beside him, and I don't think Berger's got anywhere to go, but Cheever pulls out, giving Mansell more, Warwick rather, pulls out, giving Mansell more toe. And Mansell slingshots past both the back markers. So Nigel Mansell, in tremendous style, takes the lead of the Portuguese Grand Prix.
Where they are, the white dot Mansell, the green Berger, the yellow Senna. Coming up to turn 7, the 90-mile-an-hour bend. Out of that, up to the highest part of the circuit, almost. That's round turn 8 now. You're looking at Berger with the yellow flashes on the front and rear aerofoils of the Ferrari. Nigel Mansell is 3.8 seconds ahead now on lap 34, 37 still to go. Senna challenging. Maybe he is conserving his tyres better than Gerhard Berger in front of him, and Berger looks as though he's going into the pits. Indeed he is. On lap 35, Gerhard Berger goes into the pits, and Ayrton Senna goes up into second place. so. One of the Ferraris has stopped. One of the McLarens has stopped. Let's look at the time. 8 seconds would be a good time. And the Ferrari is away in 6.8 seconds. That has to be one of the fastest 4 tires and wheels stops I have ever seen in a Grand Prix. A superlatively good time. It's delayed Gerhard Berger the absolute minimum. We know Prost started going faster after he was on fresh rubber. Gerhard Berger will do exactly the same thing. But now on lap 35, which is just about half distance in this 71-lap race, it is Mansell leading Senna by 5.4 seconds. And Senna lapping about 3/100ths of a second faster, that's all. Berger goes down. Martini is still in 4th position. Patrese 5th. Boutsen 6th. Johansson 7th. Prost is still 8th. Nannini is in 9th place. And everybody up to Nannini has been lapped. In 10th position, Jonathan Palmer. 11th, Nelson Piquet. 12th, Mauricio Gugelmin. Martin Brundle is in 14th place. Derek Warwick is in 17th position. And now Senna goes into the pits. And Mansell stays out. Riding with Nigel Mansell, Ayrton Senna, the second of the 2 McLarens, comes into the pits. And there's Ron Dennis out with the board, which says brakes. And that is to tell the driver to keep his foot on the brakes to stop the rear wheels from turning. And that is a slower, much slower pit stop than that of Gerhard Berger. It's twice as long, 12.9 seconds. So, Senna's lost 6 seconds to Berger on the pit stop.
You can see Mansell just cleaning his visor then as he came up the pit straight, polishing it with the back of his glove. You can see the hand going across, and I would have thought that Mansell, if he's going to change tyres, ought to be wanting to change them very soon. Good shot of the cockpit steering wheel at work there, buffeting away on those hands and hold it in, big G-forces. And Mansell needs to get in soon because he's got to get in and out. He's got 28-second lead over Martini, and he's going to need all of that with even with a very fast tyre change. And there is the Ferrari crew ready, so it looks very much, the blankets are still on the tyres, but I thought they might have been just taking him off, in which case he's probably announced he's coming next time he comes to the start-finish straight.
The Lotus that was out was Nelson Piquet. Moreno's out, De Cesaris is out, Cathy is out, Piquet is out, Senna is not out. Let me repeat. Mansell leads, probably coming into the pits. Let us not forget that with Berger, Prost and Senna having already been into the pits to change tyres, the Goodyear technicians will have looked at their... I think, to be fair to McLaren, it was the Ferrari mechanic, though. I noticed that Nigel had to jink at the very last moment to avoid hitting a Ferrari mechanic. But anyway, now he has taken 20 seconds. I said that Senna's stop was bad. And hello, who's that? It's Warwick. It's Derek Warwick out, and you can see that he's hit something very hard indeed. So Derek Warwick joins the retirement. But the excitement, of course, is all at the front. What a race this has been. This is lap 40 out of 71. And there's Warwick. This is a replay, of course, of Derek Warwick. And something or someone has hit his left front. He's skating in, trying to get back to the pit.
Yes, and he... the Lola Lamborghini had quite a moment then. I don't know whether you saw all that tyre smoke. All 4 wheels were smoking then as he was trying to go around the outside of Warwick and then had to dive back to the inside, but fortunately he made it. And Warwick ought to move that car a little bit further up the straight if he can.
But while all this has been going on, and you look at Nakajima, there is the new leader coming out, and it's Berger, and right behind Berger is Ayrton Senna. Berger coming up to lap. He's lapping Martini and taking the lead. That was Martini who had led after Mansell had come in for his pit stop. So it's now, you're looking at the first 3, the Gerhard Berger in the Ferrari, Martini in the Minardi, and right behind him, Senna in the McLaren-Honda, as Gerhard Berger comes up to the Lola of Philippe Alliot to lap him.
Yes, the Berger will be pleased that Martini managed to plant himself firmly in front of Senna as they went into turn 1, quite rightly, because remember, Martini is ahead of Senna on the road and the racetrack, although not anymore. Senna regains second place. Berger gets through, and Senna doesn't, and again Berger will be pleased with that, but I think Senna's going in again at the load of Lamborghini, but remember, it's quite a powerful engine.
So Berger leads, and this is a marvellous race for little Pierluigi Martini, because to be up in third place and actually to have led a Grand Prix for the first time in his life, albeit for a fairly short time, is a very considerable achievement. But over the line to complete 41 laps in this 71 lap goes Gerhard Berger. In second place it is Ayrton Senna. Third is Martini, and he's got Nigel Mansell right behind him. Then Alain Prost. In fact, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds is now covering the first 5 cars, and that's the closest we've had in 1989. This is lap 46, and there is no doubt about the fact that Nigel Mansell can get past, or is there? Because Senna is easing away again.
Well, it's these last few corners where Nigel's got to get very close, so he's close on to the final start-finish race, and we've got a black and white flag. But we'd rather be watching the back of Senna's car from that of Nigel Mansell, and to whom is that being held?
It's either Senna or Mansell, and I can't see why it should be Nigel Mansell, but that flag is again being shown as they go past.
Unless they're showing it to Mansell for being pushed backwards down the pit road, which is theoretically illegal, I believe, even though it was only a car length. It could be Mansell if somebody's being really ridiculous on the rules, but that's a guess of mine, and it's only a guess, and I hope nothing petty like that is happening to Mansell, and I hope nothing petty like bringing somebody in for just hazing out a bit of oil that isn't actually making the track dangerous, which would be the case in Senna, if you're right about Senna throwing oil, Murray. But we need to see the number that they're hanging out. We can't tell. I see a 27, don't I, through the man's legs. I think I didn't look like a 1 to me. Now, Bernie Eccleston was going up on the rostrum there, looking like a man intent on remonstrating with the officials. Bernie Eccleston is the boss of Poker. He also is part of Pisa as Mansell, who... Yeah, we do think that's a 27 on the board, so now I'm quite sure Mansell will ignore that and be told to by Ferrari until such time as it can be sorted out. And Eccleston will be up there remonstrating, and they're waving it hard to Mansell, who will claim he can't see it because he's looking up right up Senna's wing.
And Mansell is trying to go through and goes off, both of them. Senna and Mansell, as Senna's out of the race. His right rear wheel is cocking right up in the air. And so that's the answer for Nigel Mansell. He was right to stay out. Now Berger is away on his own now. And Senna again. Let's see if there's replay. Here it is.
Yeah, and Mansell, a very desperate attempt, but he's got to see the black flag. Well, Senna, I think Mansell was alongside him. Senna, without any doubt, caused that. To my mind, I'd like to say it again, but Senna just need to move in when Mansell was filling the road inside him. That was quite clearly down Senna, and that may, I'm sure, that could well cost Senna the World Championship, because he's taken away a lot of points. With Mansell being black flagged, Senna didn't need to defend against Mansell. He certainly would have been able to see that number 27 was being black flagged. He therefore knew he didn't have to race Mansell, and that is a very unprofessional driving with Senna, I'm afraid, taking himself out of the race, and he has thrown, quite possibly, thrown his championships away. And just look at him, he knows it. Here we see it once more. Mansell comes out, up with the toe. Now, as they come into the braking area, Mansell's on the inside with plenty alongside. Senna could see him there. And Senna knew that Mansell had come alongside him. Mansell was committed, and that undoubtedly was Senna's fault.
And my mind goes back to that Belgian Grand Prix when Senna in the Lotus and Mansell in the Williams had a coming together in very similar circumstances much earlier in the race, and that resulted in Nigel Mansell marching down to Senna's pit and having a pretty violent confrontation with him. Berger leads, 50 laps completed.
Yes, and I don't suppose that we'll hear the end of the black flag incident for some time, even though it was resolved on the track rather than over arguing, because the two cars, or Mansell being the man being black flagged, was taken out of the race anyway, so the whole thing become academic. But I can't see that the Ferrari team will want to let it go without at least discussing it.
And there's Patrese going for third, pulls out from the slipstream of Stefan Johansson's Onyx and takes that third position. Car number 6, FW13, Williams-Renault, its first Grand Prix, now in third position. You're riding with Gerhard Berger now, race leader, record lap holder, and he's coming up to lap, now let's just see who it is. He's coming up to lap Pierluigi Martini, I think. Coming down, yes it is. It's Martini in front, and he is in 7th position, and here's Nigel Mansell. Now this is a replay of the pit stop. Now you can see there were no McLaren mechanics in the way. For some reason or another, Nigel failed to go into the square of Ferrari mechanics. Now watch the car and let's see if he goes backwards under its own engine power. Now who's gone off there? From the yellow coving, it's either Patrese or one of the Minardis. Well, as ever, it's all happening at the end of the race. That banner obliterates us. And car number 5 there is Thierry Boutsen in the pits. And from the way he's being manhandled, now is he in the car or not? I think Thierry Boutsen is out of the Portuguese Grand Prix. This is lap 62. Berger leads Prost by 24 seconds, and Patrese is missing, and Johansson is back in third place. Well, I really do hesitate to say that it's all over bar the shouting, because if you say that, then there's going to be a lot of shouting, because something dramatic will happen. But the leader, Gerhard Berger, has got only 3 laps to go of this 2.7-mile Estoril circuit after the completion of this lap, before he sees the checkered flag for his first win of 1989, and it will have been truly well deserved. Gerhard Berger, an extremely likeable, cheerful Austrian whose hobbies when he's not in the car, and we're in the car with him now, doing about 180 miles an hour down to turn 1 as he completes lap 69, 68, he's on his 69th lap with just 2 more to go after this one. And I was saying that Gerhard Berger, an extremely cheerful and pleasant chap, his hobby when he's not racing motor cars is to go skiing, to play ice hockey. He had a dreadful saloon car crash at one point in his career, which nearly put a finish not only to his Grand Prix career, but to Gerhard Berger. It was a road crash, and he was very lucky that the next car that came along and found him in the car was driven by a specialist in the complaint that Berger had got, namely a broken neck. Had it not been that man, Berger might not be with us today. But he certainly is on lap 69, and this, of course, is going to be another win for Ferrari. They've just chipped away at developing the car, the engine, that unique gearbox, the John Barnard chassis, and there are rumours now, incidentally, that now that Prost, who gets on extremely well with John Barnard, is going to Ferrari next year, John Barnard may reverse his decision to leave Ferrari and stay. Gerhard Berger completes lap 69 into lap 70, just this one, and lap 71. So Nigel Mansell won the first Grand Prix of the year for Ferrari, totally against anybody's expectations, including his own, I think it's fair to say. Then he had a long period of drought before really coming good in Hungary, where he won, having already finished second in France and Britain and third in Germany. I'm talking about Nigel Mansell because there was nothing to say about Gerhard Berger at that time, except bad luck, Gerhard, for race after race. Because if there was a problem with the Ferrari, for a long, long time, Berger seemed to have it and not Mansell. Now you can see what it's like to be driving with a Grand Prix winner. Gerhard Berger, with the camera mounted on his car, out of turn 7, climbing at about 130 miles an hour, underneath the banner there, turn 8. Now he's at the highest part of the course, goes through the left and the right and the left into turn 11, and as he does so you will see the long straight stretching ahead of you, and you will know that you, with Berger, are starting the last lap of the Portuguese Grand Prix and riding with the potential winner.
Yes, indeed. And what a tremendous change it is to see Ferrari winning on merit, and a really healthy, refreshing change after the McLaren domination has become really quite monotonous, because this is their second Grand Prix win on merit this season over McLaren, because Hungary was certainly, they won on merit, they beat the McLaren fair and square, and they've done it again today. Doesn't matter that there was a contretemps between Mansell and Senna. Mansell was quicker, and he'd passed and pulled away from Senna once. He was in the process of passing him for the second time, and then threatening to pull away after what will always now be a controversial pit stop. But then Senna ended the problem of discussion and everything by driving into Mansell, who was already committed on his inside with the overtaking manoeuvre. So a dramatic and exciting race. A tremendous win for Ferrari and for Gerhard Berger, who's had such a dismal season till now, but he'll be well thrilled with that, and altogether a good Grand Prix entertainment.
Gerhard Berger comes out of the last corner of the last lap to win the third Grand Prix for Ferrari of 1989, and the first for himself, the Portuguese Grand Prix. A wave from Berger, bags of cheers from the crowd. Berger is obviously delighted, and it's going to be, subject to official confirmation, Alain Prost 30 seconds behind in second place and making the World Championship almost his. Stefan Johansson in third position, Alessandro Nannini fourth, Pierluigi Martini fifth, and Jonathan Palmer gets a point for himself and Tyrrell by finishing in sixth position, and there he was doing it. That is Prost finishing second. Ferrari wins. McLaren in second place. And Tyrrell by finishing in sixth position. That is Prost finishing second. Ferrari wins. McLaren in second place. But Onyx in third position on the podium for the first time. In the World Championship, Alain Prost has increased his score to 75 points, 24 ahead of Ayrton Senna in second place. Nigel Mansell still third with 38 points, Riccardo Patrese fourth on 28, and then Boutsen and Alessandro Nannini. And in the Constructors' World Championship, Ferrari have now moved up into second place ahead of Williams.
As soon as the Portuguese Grand Prix finished, the stewards of the meeting assembled Grand Prix. Needless to say, it's the